Alright, I'm doing this solo here, so hopefully this turns out alright. I've already removed the whip hose from here off this regulator. I'm putting the low tension spring in it. So the first thing, let's see, the supplies you'll need are one of the screwdrivers with a small hex tip in there that accepts these bits. You'll find out why later. And then a small screwdriver and what I would call like kind of a normal size screwdriver. Okay, first thing you want to do is unscrew this cover on the back here. Set that aside and grab the diaphragm and kind of carefully pry that out with the O-ring gasket there that goes on top, so when you're screwing the cover back on, it doesn't tear up this flexible, lightweight rubber diaphragm material. Okay, and then there's a button on this side. I don't know if all regulators are like this, but I think most should be. You'll notice there's two sets of tabs, two on the top, two on the bottom. I make sure the two on the top are right side up, and then you use your thumbs and you just give it a push and it pops right out of there. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and I'll unscrew this from the regulator assembly. There it goes. It's kind of difficult to get started. There's your seat, your white seat right there, or your seat, and then that's your seal inside there. This seat is adjustable. You can stick a screwdriver inside there and screw it in and out. And then your lever right here controls, I don't know if you can see that inside there, there's a blue, yeah, you should be able to. As you breathe in, that low pressure area causes this little valve to depress and pull the valve up, and when that pulls the valve up, this seal unseats from the valve seat, causing the regulator to fill up with air, and you can breathe. So pretty simple mechanism. So what I do next, I take my finger, push it in there, and you can see that starts operating the release mechanism. So I'll probably need something a little thinner than my finger, the screwdriver. Press in on that seal, and then this thing just pops right out of there. You can set that aside. Okay, next we want to undo that little nut in there, and that's where this screwdriver comes in to play. You just stick it through the open side there, and then you take your small screwdriver and you chock this thing in place, because it'll want to spin too. So with that chocked in place, you just unscrew it. Keep unscrewing. And the nut's inside there, nut comes out, okay. And then very carefully, there's two nylon O-rings in there. They're more for low friction, so your tilt valve can open and close and there's not a lot of friction on it. So there's a small one and a big one. I'll kind of go over the reassembly process there with those. Again, other regulators might be different. So once you've unscrewed that nut, you'll pull your seal out, and there it is. There's your high tension spring. And so to replace it, just set that aside. I'll get the low tension spring. You can see the low tension spring's a narrower gauge. It's not as thick. Okay, and then you put your seat back on there, and you just do the reverse process. It's kind of hard because you gotta have small fingers. So you drop this back in the hole carefully, and there it is. You can see I got it back through there. Okay, now we put those nylon washer things back on. You take the thin one, put it on first, and then you take the thicker one, put it on next. And let me switch fingers here. And then this is the tricky part. You gotta take this little tiny nut with your fingers and screw it onto that little stud right there. And it can be hard to start. Okay, it looks like I might have got it started there. Let me get this in there to finish it off. Yeah, I think so. Okay, now I want to chalk it in place again because it'll want to turn. And start tightening it. Sometimes the screwdriver gets lodged and you don't want that to happen. Okay, let me get that tightened up some more. You want about 3 to 4 full threads sticking up. Oh, 1, 2, 3. There we go. There's 4. We want about 4 threads sticking up above the nut. That's a good you know, preload. That preloads the spring pretty well for low pressure operation. You can mess around with it, but you're gonna have to take it apart to mess around with it. Okay, now we want to put this thing back on. So we take a finger or something. Mine kind of fits in there, and you wanna slide that back in between those two, right in between the two nylon washers. And sorry, I'll have to do it off camera here. I can't get that funny angle. So there it is. I inserted it between the two washers, and you probably can't tell, but it's a lot easier to press now. Now that we've done that, with the shorter spring at lower tension, this seal is going to be further back that way into the regulator than it was when we started, which means we're going to have to drive this seal further forward to so they mesh together. So we screw that back in, get our pliers and just snug it up. And you'll hear it, if you blow in here, you'll hear it flow. And you don't want that to free flow, obviously, because this rear air is coming in. So you want to just start driving it in. And if you look real closely, once they seat together, this will start to deflect inward, and you don't really want it to deflect any at all. You just want to see it barely deflect in. And then if it's deflected in, you want to bring it back out, because you still want to be able to use your purge button. And you want that thing to be able to work on purge. So that seems pretty good right there. I might back that out a little bit. There we go. That's kind of something you'll have to mess with on your own, you know, but that's a pretty good start. This regulator now will operate down to 20 psi, maybe even less, and you can unload it more and you can make it work with less pressure. So I just put the little seal back in the other side. Then you want to put your diaphragm on, and then your little diaphragm protector O-ring. That's so when you screw these two together, you don't tear up that soft rubber like I was telling you earlier. Okay, and then that's complete. You got to screw your whip back on there and test it, and then you know, if it doesn't work out, if it's not the right setting, you unscrew this. You can leave all this together. You can unscrew, well, no you can't, you have to pop that back off. Sorry. You have to unscrew this, pop this off, and then adjust your nut there and adjust your seat inside there. So hopefully with that bit of info, that'll kind of guide you on the right track to doing your own regulators, because they're all pretty much the same. It's just a matter of getting in there and putting the spring in, and then adjusting the seat and seal so they mesh together really well, but not too much, because there's like I was saying, there's a happy medium there. There's a balance you have to maintain for good operation. And I can feel some preload against that button there. That's what you want to feel, so you know that it's actually moving the lever. The lever is not just flopping around inside there. So anyway, that should get you off to a start.